Well, hello there. It's Clark Kent here with the news from the Fallout. No, actually, guys, this is Chris Condon as writer and Jeffrey Allen Love with issue 3 of News from the Fallout. We've got some more of this awesome, scratchy Ben Templesmith meets Shadow type of artwork, where you have to really work at figuring out who is what. And it opens up with Charlie and Nance, and they're talking about, this is before the bomb went off in the first issue, they're talking about being alone and being alone together. And sometimes they see people that they like, but then they never like them. Things just never seem to work out. They never click into place like they should. I really like pages like this, where you've got almost like a night sky, and it's one little image. So to me, as a photographer, my eye is always drawn to the bigger image, but instead most people's eyes slide right down the page to where old Joe's is. So they're talking about cooking meat and how Big Rob, Mad Rob, likes his steaks done. And then Charlie says, we're just gonna have to be alone together. And then we go back to present day, and you've got somebody scratching at the front door trying to get in. And Joe and Rob are talking about, you know, hey, we need to let Irene, who's the one that's scratching outside, we need to let her in. And Rob goes and tries to fight Joe for the rifle. And he says, you know, you think a bullet is what Irene needs? No, she needs to go to the doctor. I will take her to the doctor. And Joe says, no, I've got to protect the people that are in here. And so here comes Irene breaking through the door, and something bad happens to Rob because he doesn't back off. Joe told him to back off, and he didn't listen. So you get that massive 2-page spread. And then you get to see the general again. He said, I was your neighbor, remember me? So we're going through this as things have been destroyed by this bomb. And he said, the general says, this artifice will crumble, it will fall, it must, a new dawn is upon the human race, and I have been chosen to be its messenger. And the guy that finds him says, you're crazy, you're nuts. And he said, I brought you great news, and you've been chosen to be one of us. And the guy says, look, you can have anything that you want. And he said, no, all you have to do now is open your mind. That's cool. That's cool imagery. Maybe it's from all my years of working psych, or just the fact that I like some darker material sometimes, but seeing something like that where the guy just rips his head clean in two. That's straight out of Freddy Krueger, straight out of, you know, I don't even know if Michael Myers could pull something like that off. So you've got this hulking general that something has happened to him once the bomb fell, but we're not quite sure. So this title gets better and better with each issue. And as you go through these stories, you get to learn more about Joe, about Rob, about Nance, about Charlie, about all of the victims, whether intended or unintended, of this fallout. So it's not like a, you know, cub reporter here for the Daily Planet. It's not news from the fallout like that, but instead it is more along the lines of what's going to happen with these people that are all holed up in old Joe's diner. How are they going to live? How are they going to survive? Are they going to survive? And it's just, to me, it's almost like a Walking Dead vibe. When The Walking Dead first hit with Robert Kirkman and Tony Moore, it wasn't about the zombies. It was about the humanistic traits and the characters and the world building that Robert Kirkman and Tony Moore put together. And that's what this is. So unfortunately, I believe it's a mini instead of an ongoing or a maxi series, but it's really, really strong in that world building. And you get to see characters that now you're starting to care about. You're starting to wonder what's happened to Nance and Charlie, and whether or not old Joe, who feels a responsibility to protect these people that are locked inside of his diner, is he going to be able to protect them the way that he thinks that he should and that he can? So, guys, if you're not reading this, I would highly, highly suggest that you go out there and go pick it up at your local shop. See if you can find issues 1 and 2. Maybe if you find them on eBay or something like that together, and then pick up issue 3, which just came out this past week. And I don't think that you will be disappointed in it, between the artwork, the characterization, the storyline. All of these things come together to make one heck of an interesting tale. All right, guys. So once again, this is News from the Fallout issue 3 from Chris Condon and Jeffrey Allen Love from Image Comics.